Hi, Royals. It's Reality from
And
Reality Table.
Mastermind.
And we are here with the talented, the wonderful, the funny, the amazing Hans Hernke. Welcome, Hans. Thank you for joining us today and getting
Thank
to
you so
chat with
much.
you.
Yes, I'm honored to be here to talk with you all.
Uh,
So, Hans, I know that recently on Facebook, and this was so cool when I found out about this, you shared several autographed pictures of the late great actor Robin Williams, who sent to you after you wrote to him, which I think is awesome. So, I'm curious, out of all the films that he's made, if you had a chance to create your own version of just one of them, which one would you choose and how would you approach the story differently? Oh
hmm.
man, that's a good question. I liked Mrs. Doubtfire. Um, there was something about that story that was so touching that he went to these lengths just to be with his children. That's how much he loved his kids, and
Right.
he wanted to make this work with his family, and this was the only way that he could do it. Um, man, that. But how I would change the story, I don't. I think the story was really good the way it was, and the ending was it had closure at the ending. But yeah, that's a good question. But that one was my favorite one, and of course, Jumanji. I saw that movie is kind of all over the place with all that stuff
Yeah.
happening. Um, but yeah, he was just an amazing guy. I really wish I would have worked with him before everything happened with him. I found his fan mail address and I wrote him several letters and he would write back with
Oh,
these
wow.
autographed pictures personalized to me. It would take a few months but I looked to see, if because sometimes celebrities send out like hand stamped signatures.
Right.
Each signature was very authentic and it was
Um,
personalized to me. And I found that so nice for him to do that and take the time out to do that because I know he probably got a lot of mail.
Another person that I love that I found out in one of your posts as well was I am a huge fan of the show Frasier.
Mhm.
And I know you got a chance to be on that show. So I'm fangirling. Tell me, what was that like?
Well, I remember watching that show uh, a long time ago. Late nights. It always come on late at night, and I remember watching with my family too. And I was like, one day I want to work with these guys. I think it'd be
Right.
fun. And Central Casting, yeah, just called me. And Central Casting is the big casting agency out here in California that does all the big TV shows and films. And they said, "Hey, so you've been picture picked by the director to play this little small part in an episode of Frasier." And I was like, "Oh!" I was like perking up. I was like, "All
Fighting.
right, tell me more. Tell me more. I want to hear." So I said, "What you're going to go in for a fitting? Yeah, you're going to play a delivery man at a baby shower, so you're delivering kegs." I'm like, "Okay." So I went to Paramount and I got fitted for my hat, my jacket, and everything. And then said it'll film on this day. And I remember the day it was filming because it was election day here, California, when we were voting for Arnold Schwarzenegger to be our governor.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So I had the I voted sticker still on my clothes, and Kelsey Grammer noticed that and he's, "Oh, good, you voted today, good man." I was like, "Yes, I did." He's like, "You know what? I think it'd be funny if you kept that on your wardrobe, like just as a little hidden Easter egg. I'm gonna run
Hilarious.
by the wardrobe department and see if we can do that." The wardrobe department said, "No, we can't have that sticker on there." And like, well, I tried. Um, but so what happened was it films in front of a live audience, and the first half of your day, you are rehearsing all the scenes that you're going to be doing later with the live audience. So you go through all the blocking and all the motions of the scene, and there was a lot happening in the scenes that I was in. It was the fake baby shower that Niles was holding in that
Right.
episode, and we ran it 3 or 4 times, and then we had a nice lunch slash dinner. They do like a really nice catered dinner right before the live taping, and then once the live taping begins, you all go back to the stage in your holding area, and you can like the adrenaline starts rushing because you can hear the guy warming up the crowd, and you can hear the crowd roaring and clapping, and they're like, you kind of get a little nervous because once you get on there and the audience is watching, it's like being on theater.
Real.
Go time.
Yeah.
And they do a couple takes here and there, and then they move on. Um, yeah, it was so surreal being with that entire cast.
And then earlier, of course, you were talking about like the directors, and as we all know, some of the most famous directors, like for example, like Martin Scorsese and M. Night Shyamalan, they've all had humble beginnings doing things like home movies and short films, before they made it big. So I'm curious,
Yeah.
which director inspires your craft the most, and like, what is your favorite filming technique of theirs?
Um, I really like Mel Gibson because he is a actor's director. He's a
Mhm.
very strong actor, so he knows how to direct the actors' performances instead of just, there's directors out there are just very technical. This is how I want my film shot. I want it to look beautiful. And, like George Lucas, he's not an actor's director. I mean, like the Star Wars films, love them. But even Alec Guinness said this dialogue is so corny. They just had fun with, they had fun with it. But
Right.
yeah, like Mel Gibson, he's very hands-on with the actors, and you can tell by the films that he does, especially
Yeah.
the Passion of the Christ. And I love his style of, I want my film to look beautiful, but I also want my performances to stand out. I know how to work with those people.
Well, you're busy with films too. In August, Tam and I got the opportunity to go and see your premiere of The Haunted Studio. Loved the movie. And I see that January, you guys are going to be debuting it in London on Horror on the Sea Festival, correct? So that's
Oh
exciting.
yeah.
What was the most surprising scene for you to film in that movie? Like you weren't expecting something, and then you're just like, okay, I'm gonna roll with this.
Oh yeah. Well, it's the scene with the demon having a big schlong.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean I saw that in the script, but I didn't know if they were really going to run with that, and then they did, and it was very surprising to see it on this creature's outfit. A lot of the film there was a lot of improvisation.
hmm.
Chris was very flexible to let us run with our dialogue and have fun with it, so it sounds very natural. And I've done so many films with JP that when I would be in a scene with him, we would mesh together instantly. Like it was like acting with an old friend again. And acting with Amber, that was my first time acting with her. And our first day we hit it off. We did 24 pages in one day, and
Wow.
our friendship that our characters have just blossomed that very first day.
What drew you to do that character, or to be part of that particular project?
Well, Chris Sanders, um, I worked with him in 2020 on Nest of Vampires. That was my first film with him, and he wanted me to play the bad guy.
Hmm.
And after auditioning for him on uh, Facebook video, and we just did a call, kind of like how we're doing right now. He had me read my lines, and I said, "Are you going to be reading with me?" He says, "No, I'm not going to. I just want to see how you read your lines. Don't forget, just forget about the other people's lines." I'm like, "This is interesting because that's normally audition you have somebody reading opposite of you," and he's like, "Oh, we'll do it this way." I'm like, "Okay." So I did it, and he's like, "All right, you got the role." It's like, "All
Nice.
right, cool. When did we start?" So January 2020. So he flew me over, and I had so much, like we only had about a week to film all my stuff because I had to come back and start Animal Kingdom season 5 like right away. And after that first experience, I said, I really like working with this guy. I want to work with him again. And Chris said, "Don't worry, I'll have something else for you soon." And then he just approached me and said, "I want you to be the lead in the Haunted Studio, and your character is kind of a play on all of the um, older like comedy films, the Mel Brooks movies like Haunted, Honeymoon, and Bride of Frankenstein, all those funny, but also all the monster films as well." And before you know it, I was on a plane and off to London, and we were there for 7 or 8 days, and we did the whole film during that time in July. and it was very hot. The studio had no air conditioning, so the sweat you see on the screen is real. Yeah, they don't have air conditionings in their buildings over there. Some of them don't.
Oh
Like
wow.
even their homes, like the hotel rooms, they don't have air conditioning unless you're staying at like a really high end hotel near the airport, like a Marriott or something. But my hotel room didn't have a air conditioning, so I'm like,
Wow.
And then earlier, I'm just speaking of Mel Brooks and inspiration. Obviously, I read that the Haunted Studio is supposed to be in the style of Mel Brooks and Peter Sellers. Of course, we all know they're very, they have a very diverse dynamic of characters and the genres they always portray with sort of like a distinct quirkiness that has that signature style all their own. So I'm curious, what aspect of this film do you feel kind of defines its own style, but still pays homage to these inspirational figures?
um, let's see.
Hmm.
Basically, I think the film definitely stands out as unique in its time that it was shot. It was a lot of it was very handheld, and I don't know. There was a talk about it going black and white, and we're like, no, I don't think we should have it go black and white. We should keep it color because sometimes black and white films are very hard to sell. When we were on set filming, we would look at clips from some of the older films. Like I watched some of the Inspector Clouseau, Peter Sellers clips,
Yeah.
and Chris was like, try to draw some inspiration from those, but don't copy them, but make them unique and different. And I was like, okay, so the whole thing with the taxi cab in the beginning where my bag gets stuck in the door, that was just watching a clip of Inspector Clouseau in a taxi cab doing something
Mhm.
stupid. And then that was my idea. Like, what if my bag gets caught in the door as I'm closing it and he drives away and he kind of drags me as he's driving away? So those little things hit me as I was watching the clip because I was like, all right, I don't want to copy him, but I want to try to find some way to honor the slapstick that I'm watching and put it on this character.
Well, you're also working or have worked, sorry. Remember Me to Forget Me Not. Now that's a whole different, that went from comedy to kind of like, I want to say kind of like Hitchcock a little bit. Like I saw the preview and I was like, wow, you guys leave some of that stuff to the audience. And for me, it was the sound, like the squishy sounds. I kind of was shuddering, but I love it at the same time. So tell us a little bit about that one.
So Remember Me, it's gone through several titles. It was first it was called Remember Me 2. Then it was called Remember Me 2, You'll Never Forget. And now the distributor is calling it Remember Me 2, Forget Me Not. But this film is a sequel to a film called Remember Me, which came out last year. It came out last year on VOD. And Steven, who's a really good friend of mine in the UK, he just out of the blue said, "Hey, I have a film I want to do in April, and I want you to be the lead." And my jaw dropped because the last thing I worked with him on was in 2017 over there, so I was kind of itching to work with him again. And so he sent me the script, and it's like, I like this. I like where this is going. And I said, "How long are you gonna shoot this for?" He's like, "We're gonna do it in 6 days." I'm like,
Wow.
okay, we can do it in 6 days. We'll do it in 6 days. You got to keep it very simple. So he's like, this locations, we're doing it one location. We have a very small amount of actors. We'll be able to get it done. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. So I had little time to prepare for this character. Even though my character is in almost every scene and there's little bits of dialogue, I was able to listen to it while I was flying over there and get the beats down. And then when I rehearsed it with the actors, it was a walk in the park. Like I've
Nice.
worked with Tony before. I've never worked with Louisa and Bethany, and they were all like, they just made the job so much easier. And Steve was like, "You're gonna have it easy, man. You're gonna be in a hospital bed like throughout this entire film." I said, "Okay, that sounds comfortable." Actually, it was not comfortable because the bed after a while started hurting your lower back. They had to put like a pillow underneath, and my character's paralyzed. I can't move around. So my habit when I'm acting, I want to move my hands and all this, move my legs, and nope, I had to stay still the whole time and act that way. So that was new for me. I've never done that before. And it was really hard because there were lines where I wanted to move my hands or do something with my hands and I couldn't Do it. I do have a funny story from that set too, if you want to hear it.
Yes, of course.
Right. We were practicing this. It was after lunch, and have you ever heard of a digestive cookie?
No. What is
That's
that?
something that they have over there. They're digestives, and they're almost like fiber. Like you take it after a meal,
Okay.
and it helps. So there was a plate of these little cookies out near the tea after lunch, and I was like, "Oh, cookies!" So
Oh
I ate
no.
3 of them, 3 of these cookies, and I go lay in the bed, and we're rehearsing the scene, and it's almost 8 pages long. And my I had my mic on and stuff like that, and during the middle of the scene, that's when the bubbles started. And the director, Steven, had to step out because he was having a bout of vertigo. So
Oh.
he left it to us to direct the scene and get it done while he was taking a break.
Mhm.
So we ran it again, and it was getting worse. Like, I was like, I stopped. I'm like, guys, I'm so sorry. And I took the mic off. I'm like, I have to step out for like a half an hour. You guys keep running this. I have to go to the restroom.
Oh, no.
So I took my mic off, and I was in a hospital gurney, and so I had to make myself comfortable. And then I came back a half hour later, and I was like, I feel so much better. And the actor's like, you ate too many digestive cookies now, did you? I was like, yeah, those were digestive cookies. Oh yeah, they'll run right through you. I was
Oh
like,
my
thanks for
God.
telling me that.
Wow.
So yeah, lesson learned. And then when I saw digestive cookies in the store, I was like, I am not taking
Never.
those home. No, not taking those home. So I don't know if it was some elaborate prank, but I can laugh about it now. It's
Oh
like
my gosh. That's
digestive cookies.
hilarious. I've never. Okay, we got to make sure we don't have those on our platters. We have
If
guests
you
over.
yeah, if you want to pull a prank on somebody, go for it. But yeah, apparently that's an after dinner or lunch treat for them over there. So, but you should only
Take one, and you
yeah, you
had
should
three.
it's green.
I'm
Def-
so sorry that happened. Oh my
I
gosh.
know. I didn't want to buy. I always bring home a lot of sweets when I'm in the UK, and when I saw those, I'm like, nope, not going. Moving out of it.
That's too much. That's hilarious.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Definitely a lesson learned from the cast for sure.
Oh
so,
yeah.
so speaking of the cast, with this film, The Haunted Studio, what personality trait of each actor that was involved do you believe made them the perfect fit to play the roles that they did?
John Paul Gates. He always plays really quirky characters. When I did The Howling with him, he did like a Dr. Frankenstein type of character, which was really quirky, and he had a little accent to it. And John's just really good at playing those roles. And I think the the relationship that Chris developed with JP, because I also helped John get on Nest of Vampires as one of the main bad guys as well. And that's how he became friends with Chris, and Chris now puts him in every film. I think that role of Gerald was perfect for JP. Like he was so good at that role because he's just good at playing those really quirky characters, and you kind of feel sorry for him, but he also
Yeah.
lacks all the misfortunes that he has.
Hmm.
And Amber, she was she was just really perfect for that role too. I know Chris went through several cast members, but then when he met Amber, Amber just got done doing the horror film Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh yes, I heard about that one.
Her career is, it's taking off a lot because of that film. And Chris met with her, and she's like, I think she'll be really, really good for this role. And Randy did a lot of reading with her, and he's like, yeah, this is definitely our girl for that character. And the other ones like Amanda, there was several other girls that read for that role, and one of them was a friend of mine, and I really pushed for her, but Chris went with Amanda for that role. And the other ones were just friends of Chris's that came on board, and wanted to help out. William Marshall always does Chris films now. And yeah, Chris seems to know how to pair up the right people for the right characters that he writes.
I know you worked on Animal Kingdom, that series. What was that like?
It was the best stand-in experience I've ever had being out here for 20 years.
Wow.
I've stood in on a lot of projects and I have fun at each and every one of them, but this one to me was like a big blessing to just be a part of. Just being involved with that cast and crew every day for 6 seasons was just, it was fun. I had so much fun getting up and going to work every day and just being on set and learning from the experience. And I got very, very comfortable being in front of the camera even more on that show. And that being a stand-in helps you do that. And when you run the scenes, you got to go through all the blocking. And so you really have to pay attention while you're doing that job. And, sometimes they have us read lines off camera and things like that. And I remember Finn was not feeling well one day, and they said, "You're going to read all of Finn's lines off camera to all the other actors while we're filming them. Are you okay with that?" I said, "Yes, I will do it. I'm comfortable doing it because I know those guys." And it was a walk in the park reading the lines. And they all came up to me afterwards and they said, "Thank you for acting and reading with us and not just reading the lines. Like you actually you put something into those lines and it helped us react to what you were doing.
Yes.
So thank you for doing that." And I said, "That's my job and I love doing it. I'm glad I helped you guys out."
That's phenomenal.
And then when they said season 6 was the last one, I was like, "Oh no, no,
Oh,
the house is gone. The beautiful Cody house has been torn down."
really?
They tore down everything
Oh,
at the
wow.
Brothers Ranch backlot. The Christmas Vacation house, the Lethal Weapon house, the Bewitched house, the Project X house. Everything is leveled. It's all gone. Like it's really sad because those houses are very iconic. There's a
Yeah.
long history behind those houses, and they just leveled them. Gone.
Did
And
anybody,
Cody,
did anybody keep anything from there, like mementos or pieces of the scenery, or I don't know.
I really wish we could have. We were very tempted to take like a little thing
Mhm.
from Jake's bar, but all of that stuff literally has barcodes on them,
Oh,
hidden.
wow.
So every little thing that you see on set, you pick it up, and there will be a little tiny barcode that says WB Property Department. And when they scan it to check it back in, everything is accounted for. So if anything goes missing,
Got it.
yep, I'm like,
Oh,
oh man,
wow.
something. But yeah, everything's gone now.
So I got one more question for you, Hans. So, and I love this about you. So, according to your Instagram, the movie Titanic pretty much sealed the deal to make you want to pursue a career as both a filmmaker and an actor. So, what is it about that film that kind of spoke to your inner desire to express yourself creatively?
Well, I remember seeing that movie when it first came out. It was me and my older brother and my little brother. And the first time seeing it, I was just very drawn into it. It was one of those movies where you felt like you were there on the ship with them. And everything about it was just perfect, all the way down to the wardrobe.
Mm.
And it's how much design went into building a replica of that ship. James Cameron spared no expense getting all the details down, even to how the extras were holding cups, drinking,
Mm.
the little buttons, the pocket watches, everything. It
Right.
was beautiful. The part where the ship is sinking throughout the second half of the film, just all the work that went into that, it just made me think I want to do something like that.
So, how do you balance your typical day to day and then having to go film certain projects? Like, what is that balance like for you?
Basically, when I'm not working, I am looking at other stuff to do, or I go out and run errands, go to the gym. But the one thing that's really kept me busy the past 12 years is party staff.
Mm.
I do a lot of events. And the fun thing about catering is when you're working events, and you're helping guests out, it's also a really good chance for you as an actor to work on improvisation skills. And last night I was working an event, a really big event down in Laguna Beach, and I was the captain, and I had to direct the servers where to go, and a couple tables would stop and ask me questions, and I had fun with it. Like I almost like put on a show for them. They're like, "Hey,
Mm.
so when does dinner start?" And I'm like, "It starts at 6." And they're like, "Is there any way you could like push it to like?" So I'm like, "Hold on, let me make a call real quick." And I improvised a fake phone call that I was making on or the walkie call I was making on the walkie, and I'm like, "Yeah, they said they'll push it to 8 o'clock. That's fine." And and the whole table laughed, and I was like,
Oh
"That
my
I
gosh.
like entertaining the guests." And I always tell my wife, "I entertained the guests tonight," and she was like, "Of course you did."
You can't help yourself. It's who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I tell all the servers, you are basically putting on a show for
Yeah.
everybody doing this job. Have fun with it.
Mhm. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that attitude. That's perfect. It's amazing. I always ask of our guests, there's so many ups and downs just in the industry and just anything that we challenge ourselves with. So what are you challenging yourself with this year?
Oh, I have a couple things in the pipeline for next year too that I really want to focus on and make sure that it happens. And one of them is a project in Scotland with another
Oh, nice.
filmmaker I've not met yet. I've met him virtually,
Hmm.
but like I wanted to do a film with him for a few years now, and he's like, "I finally have something for you," and it'll be in Scotland next year. And I said, "Okay, it's good. Let's do it." So I'm really laser focused on making sure that happens next year, and then once the tickets are booked, then I can announce it.
That's going to be amazing. I
Yeah,
love traveling. So I'll be following you on socials. What's he up to?
yeah, absolutely.
I know that we always like to ask also of any guest that we do for people who are new, up and coming filmmakers, actors, directors, what have you. What advice would you give them, from your experience?
I would say stay on set as much as possible, even if it's like odd jobs like being a PA. I know some people don't like being a PA, but honestly, I've done PA work and I've learned a lot just by being on set for one day.
Mm.
Practice your acting, um, reading in front of a mirror, and practicing self tapes at home because a lot of the auditions now are done via self tape.
Right.
Practice your self tapes at home. Get some, sides is what we call them, which
Hmm.
is like the pages of the script that we're doing,
Right.
and practice with a friend. Film little short things that you can use for your reel, and try to just stay active in the industry. And I know when things go south, just don't give up, keep going. And a lot of people that move out here, they have the dream that the door is going to open for them, and a lot of times you have to go open those doors and make the doors
Absolutely.
yourself.
Yes.
And that's what I've learned over the past 20 years being here.
Hmm.
So always try to be proactive and
Yeah.
find something in this industry to do, and look around on Facebook, Instagram, uh, like the entertainment industry job websites. They always
Hmm.
have stuff, and yeah, or just shoot your own things.
Well, alrighty, here comes one of the favorite segments on the show that we call Hot Takes. And Hans, since you are our special guest, I figured what better opportunity, since we're talking about Halloween, to kind of give your hot take on what's going on. So basically, the way it works is that we give you a set of options, and then you just pick which of the ones you like based on what you would choose. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off with the first question. So since we've been talking about Halloween and stuff, and of course I mentioned this a little earlier during my breakfast routine, which monster themed cereal is the best? Count Chocula, Frankenberry, or Boo Berry?
Oh, so I named one of them. Okay,
Hmm.
Count Chocula.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
I definitely
Oh
agree.
yeah. I've not eaten that in a long time, but definitely Count Chocula. Yeah. You got the chocolate, which is Halloween. Reese's Pieces, and then you got
Yes.
Dracula, Halloween.
There you
Like
go.
Chocula.
So, second one, if you had no choice but to eat one of these two, which would it be? Candy corn or black licorice?
Candy corn. I love candy corn. There's a bowl of candy corn sitting out in our living room right now. I do it every October. October 1st, bowl of candy corn goes out until the end of the month, unless it lasts that long.
Or you
But
get the sales
I know
after.
people are like, oh, I don't like it. But ever since
I
I was little,
love.
love candy corn.
Me too. A lot of people don't like it. They give me faces when I have the candy corn ball. I'm like, well, it's more for me then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that stuff sells out pretty quick in the stores too.
Mhm.
So I just try to grab like 2 bags, and I like it has to be the Brock's. If it's
Yes.
like the store brand, that these people that don't like it might have eaten like a store brand,
Oh, maybe.
cheaper brand. Like I have had those before. I'm like, nope, that's not good. It has to be Brock's.
Actually, box. I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the big debates among the Halloween season is, which one of these is the scariest movie? So I got one for you. Which is the scarier movie? The Exorcist or The Haunted Studio?
The Exorcist. The Exorcist. Because that movie was definitely cursed. And a lot of weird stuff happening. Our film, we didn't have any of that. Thankfully, we didn't have that. But yeah, definitely The Exorcist. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie was freaky.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's the next one. What is scarier for a filmmaker? Losing the best footage or a power outage during a movie screening?
Losing the best footage. Yeah, the power outage during the movie screening, unfortunate. What can you do? But losing the footage, that magic that you created that one time
Mm-hmm.
is gone. And you can't recreate it anymore. Like, no matter how hard you try, it's like, oh my God, that was the perfect take and it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's happened on several projects that I've worked on. Like a take that I really, really liked. Oh, we couldn't find it in the edit. I'm like, are you serious? Oh, so yeah, that's
Heartbreaking.
worse. Mm-hmm.
Breaking. Mm-mm.
All right, we got one more hot take. And of course, this one's big on everybody's list because everybody's getting their costumes ready. So, which is the best Halloween costume accessories? Masks, wigs, or weapons?
Oh, all right. Um, wigs or weapons? Wigs is definitely out because those things can get annoying. Um, I would probably go with a weapon. That way, because like the whole thing with the wig, the hair gets around. Like I remember one year we did Oogie Boogie Bash, and I was Bro Thor, and I had a long wig, and that hair was constantly getting in my face, and I'm like, oh, I hate this thing. I hate it. So, and then the mask is the same thing too. It's like you're breathing and you're breathing in you're breathing in your own hot air. I think carrying a weapon like a fake weapon around is a little more convenient. It's just like, oh, I can put this thing down and not worry about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember as a kid, you remember those old thin plastic masks, which mask would make you wear? And I remember just being all sweaty and horrible and hating that my parents decided you're going to be a witch this year.
Yeah.
But weapons, I like weapons. I like, walk around with a club or a spear or something. And, I think that's fun stuff for sure.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Hans, it was a joy to have you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and chatting. And, we wish you all the best. And, whatever you guys are doing, let us know. We will promote here on our channel. I know our viewers would love to see more and see more. And you guys, we will be posting his socials as well and links to some of his views and stuff that he's doing, so you guys can take a look. You guys are going to enjoy it for sure.
Thank you.